Hi there everyone. My presentation is going to cover the topic of students at risk for dropping out. So I want to take a moment to define the problem. The term or phrase at risk for dropping out refers to those students who have reached an age in which they can legally decide to exit the educational system and terminate their high school learning. Many states allow children to drop out at a younger age as long as they have parental consent. Ohio is one of the few states that does not allow for a child to drop out prior to age 18, even if they have parental consent. This serves as a protective factor for the students in the state of Ohio. In response to the issue of dropping out, many school districts have began alternative education models. So the first four options that we see on the screen apply to alternatives for a child or student who is at risk and or planning to drop out. And these options should be explored and encouraged prior to the child actually dropping out. A residential school setting can sometimes provide a more structured environment with plenty of supportive services for the student. It might be a good option for those who do not thrive well in the traditional academic setting. Another nice option is the Career Center, which is an option many districts offer. These are typically extensions of the high school and feature smaller class sizes. The core courses, such as mathematics and English, are tailored to the student's career and technical program. These students have the opportunity to gain workforce skills and credentials while earning their high school diploma. An online charter school is an option for an alternative to a brick and mortar institution. This option may be suitable for those students who are experiencing educational instability. That means the moving around from school to school or district to district due to family circumstances or otherwise. And summer school is held during the typical summer vacation. It is used to make up deficiencies or due to remediation purposes. In some cases, summer school may allow a student to catch up on work so that they can progress to the next grade level along with their peers. And the last option is more of an option for those who have already dropped out but wish to earn a high school equivalent. That is the GED, or General Educational Development Pathway. So GED would be a good option for those who have dropped out but now wish to earn a high school equivalency. There are many risk factors to be aware of and be on the lookout for. A journal article by R&D Connections discussed these risk factors and broke them down into categories. So along with these risk factors, there are red flags for identifying at-risk students. The article argues that you can determine students who are at risk with a high degree of certainty if you are aware of the risk factors as well as the red flags. The red flags include an attendance rate of less than 80%, failing mathematics and or English, earning fewer than 2 credits during the freshman and 9th grade year, and course remediation or full grade remediation. This slide is a continuation of the previous slide. So I want to take a moment to point out the last risk factor, which is pregnancy. And the reason why I want to focus on that for a moment is because it is actually the leading cause of dropping out of school for adolescent women. So as school staff, we can be aware that if the situation does arise, that we need to be providing extra supportive services and that the student knows that she's going to be supported and there are services to help her be successful. In addition to the risk factors, there are negative consequences that result from dropping out. Health and overall well-being is a major thing that is negative impact by dropping out. So there's anxiety associated with being able to provide for yourself, which has a negative impact on one's mental, emotional, and physical health. There's an increased risk for involvement with the justice and legal system. Upon dropping out, chances of incarceration dramatically increase. There are a variety of possible explanations for this, but the one that stands out overwhelmingly in the literature is the pressures of having a lower socioeconomic status or being impoverished. And that sort of goes along with future earnings and opportunities. So once an individual drops out of high school, they actually become ineligible for 90% of the jobs. So as you can imagine, they have a much higher unemployment rate than their counterparts who do hold a high school diploma. The charts on this slide examine data regarding dropping out. So the first slide looks at the unemployment rates by educational attainment. The second chart looks at the dropout rate by race with a specific emphasis on Hispanic origin. And the last chart looks at the dropout rate based upon gender. This slide focuses on data regarding incarceration rates by educational levels. So as you can see, the more educational attainment an individual has, the more of a protective factor they have against becoming involved with the legal system. The main thing that school staff can do and be aware of and work on is prevention, intervention, and positive change. So cultivating a safe learning environment, providing parent and family training, really fostering the involvement of the family in the students' learning, and also making sure that the school offers adequate and appropriate mental and emotional services. These are all strategies that can be used in prevention and intervention for this topic. A really helpful resource is the National Dropout Prevention Center. They provide specific strategies and interventions. So proper training for school staff, how to screen and assess a dropout risk, and how to really involve the family and the caregivers to help cultivate the student's success. So in conclusion, there are a lot of strategies and interventions that can be utilized. The main thing is working on screening and identifying students at risk early on so we can begin intervention and preventative services. But I also want to emphasize how important it is to be an advocate. Oftentimes children know what might help them and might benefit them, so we need to listen to them and kind of be their voice in some instances. So always remember to be an advocate in working towards promoting that child's success.